Alrighty, good morning. Karen Lovely here, and the podcast, The Power of Self-Evolution. Why is it powerful? Because we're either growing or dying. I firmly believe that in our mindset, in our heart set. And it's so easy to live life in survival and perceived comfortability, meaning not taking risks, not getting out of our comfort zone to go for what we want in the realm of our dreams, desires, and greatest passions. And so I personally would not be here. I'd be dead as a doornail if I hadn't chosen constantly since I was a child to continue understanding why I was such a mess and a failure in my own mind. And then I created this podcast, Power of Self-Evolution, to help others through my own stories and all of my guests' stories and the successes and failures that they've gone through. And this morning, I have the coolest human on the planet with me. We've been on a little hiatus here, but the first person I asked to interview is an amazing former professional baseball player, and he has the greatest energy and personality. He's fun, and the greatest thing I love about him is he laughs. Well, he laughs at a lot of things that I say, so of course I got to have him on my podcast, but he has such a great sense of humor and a zest for life. That said, welcome, Zach Penprase. How are you this morning?
I'm great. I'm laughing already.
You are? Okay, good. Keep laughing, because that's my new shtick thing as a stand-up comedian, but I put it on hold. I'm like, what was I thinking? Yeah, and I gotta laugh now, because if I'm not laughing most of the time, I'm out. So
you gotta laugh.
Yeah.
And I don't just laugh at your jokes. Believe me, everyone that's gonna listen to this will be like, hey, he laughs at all my jokes too. So.
But the point is, you laugh, right?
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
I love laughing.
So have you been a laugher like as a little kid and a teen and an adult?
Oh, yeah, I've been laughing, geez, man, at everything since I can remember. It's just kind of like, I don't know, I laugh and I wear fanny packs. It's kind of my two things, I guess.
Oh, my God, and that's super cool that you can admit that. And I have a fanny pack. As a matter of fact, I just wore it the other day. But, I saw a picture of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, an old throwback photo of him wearing a fanny pack. He posted it, I think, on his Instagram. And you're just like, oh, my God. Right? He's so cool.
Yeah.
But I love him. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I love that you can even say that with such confidence. Who are we to judge? But frankly, that fanny pack will always be in my book. Even though it comes and goes in fashion, it's ingenious, really.
It's just super practical. Like I just hate having stuff in my pocket. So
I know.
I just started wearing. Yeah. It's so annoying.
And how can
I definitely don't.
Yeah.
I'm on like The Rock, where I don't wear leather fanny packs. So I'm an anti-leather guy. So.
Oh, that's great. I know, because I'm thinking, way back in the day when I was roller skating and rollerblading from bar to bar, the fanny pack is my best friend. Right? Because you got to have your rollerblades. It's just, a purse is just not practical. Oh, okay. So now let's get down to the nitty gritty. Professional baseball. Love that. Now let's talk about your career. First of all, you were drafted originally in 2006 by the Phillies, and then take it from there. Tell us your history of how that went.
Yeah. I was drafted by the Phillies in 2006 out of college, so I was 21 at the time. I went to Mississippi Valley State University, a historically black college, and Jerry Rice actually went there, so some greatness was involved in that school.
Oh, wow.
And I got drafted at 06, went to play with the Phillies. I got released in spring training of 2008. I went to go play for the Fargo-Moorhead Redhawks in independent baseball up in Fargo, North Dakota. Love Fargo. It's my town.
Wow.
Love the people up there. And I played there for about 60 games. Got picked up by the Boston Red Sox. Played there for about 30 games. Got released. And then I went to an open tryout with the Dodgers. Went to spring training with them for 2 weeks. Completely sucked. And had it was almost like I was enjoying the moment too much because the Dodgers are my team. So I was in spring training with the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, this is so cool. This is so cool. But I wasn't really focusing on like, hey man, like you got to make a team, and it'd be even cooler if you like actually made it with them, and then you could make it to the big leagues and reach that dream of playing in Dodger Stadium in front of your family and friends. Completely sucked and got released, and I went back to Fargo, and it was just like the best time of my life. I felt like I was a little kid again. I felt like I was playing Little League and just having fun, but I was getting paid to do that.
Wow.
And the community of Fargo they love their sports. And when they fall in love with certain players, and not even saying they're only in love with me, they're in love with certain players, and they want to keep them forever. And they want you to just come back and for the summer and play baseball and entertain them. And they're just great people, and I loved it, had a great time. And I played there for 8 years, which is really unheard of in independent baseball. It's more cutthroat than minor leagues. They're getting bounced around from team to team, traded from team to team. But I just wanted to play. I wanted to play shortstop every day. And my coach up in Fargo, Doug Simonik, he just let me be me, which was very rare. My whole career, I wasn't able to just do what I was able to do and just kind of be me on the field. He was one of the rare guys that let me do that. So very blessed to have that opportunity to play in Fargo for that long and just enjoy my time playing baseball, because when I was in the minor leagues, I just kind of I hated it, and I just wanted to kind of quit, and I almost did. So
wow. Okay, so I have so many deep questions. You know me. I dig deep here, but
you're deep, Karen.
I am okay. No one can ever accuse me of being superficial. However, sometimes it would probably be good for me. I'm a little too intense sometimes. But so many great things here. Okay. Oh, my God. The Dodger thing. I want to circle back because that is there's a lot there being picked up by the Dodgers, your dream team. You've always been in awe of that team. Is amazing. But I get this whole you were having fun and your coach letting you be you. So let's back it up because I know a little bit of the history. Okay, so when you were, so that's 21, 22, then you went different things. So by the time you came back to the Red Hawks, you're about how old? 24, 20? When
I came back to the Red Hawks, I was 24, yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow. That was a pretty good guess. Okay, so then let's back it up to when you were a little boy, right? How old were you when you started playing baseball?
5.
That is so cute. Oh my God. You had the little, I like little things and little kids and little animals, as you know, because you've met my Angelica, my little dog, my purse dog.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But I can't even imagine. So you had a little uniform and a little mitt at 5?
Oh, yeah. And actually, I have my Instagram picture is actually me in a little kid Dodger uniform. So.
Oh my God! And then that
cool.
Little tiny mitt. So was that you wanting to play baseball, or was it your dad, or how did you pick baseball at 5?
I think like any kid, really, they just kind of want to do stuff, and I wasn't only playing baseball at that time. I was playing soccer. I even was playing golf because I was lucky enough to have a grandfather that played golf, and he kind of took me out and go to the driving range and just hit some golf balls. So I was just an active kid. So I played multiple sports. It wasn't just I was in baseball and playing baseball, and I was just having fun, just doing some things. So.
And you didn't feel any pressure from, say, your dad or anybody? It could even be your mom. Let's not be sexist here, but there was no pressure from mom or dad, or your dad being you got to play baseball, or anything like that?
No, my parents have never pressured me into doing anything other than just recently. My dad especially has never pressured me to do anything, except for recently, now that I'm newly married, that he's pressuring me to have kids because my brother has given him grandchildren, and now he has this addiction to grandchildren. So that's the only pressure that I've ever experienced from my parents. They actually have never really pressured me into doing anything. If I ever wanted to quit, they'd be like, are you sure? And I'd be like, yeah, I kind of want to quit. And they'd be like, okay, cool. Like, are you sure you want to think about it? And I'd be like, let me just sleep on it. And they're like, all right. And there was no real pressure. They would kind of give me like, here's the benefits, here's the side effects, but
wow.
They never really said like, you got to play baseball so you can get to the big leagues and make money. Like it's never been like that. I've been lucky to have some good parents like that.
Yeah, they sound amazing. And then, okay, so here you are 5 playing baseball, and you were in love with the Dodgers at 5?
Yeah, my parents shared some season tickets with some other families, and so we were able to go to about almost 40 games a year.
Oh, my God. Okay.
So, yeah, I've been going to Dodger games since I was a little kid as well.
Okay, so then you're playing baseball, but let's get real here. When you were playing and you're enjoying it, but you had some coaches that did what Stephen Curry has had happen, where they said a lot of negative things about you. So you want to talk about that? Where at the time where they didn't think you had what it took.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
Yeah. So when did that start? Like, when did you start?
I can't really pinpoint actual time when I was younger, because I was again lucky enough to have my dad as my coach, who didn't pressure me really to do anything. So he was coaching because he played a little bit when he was younger, and he actually just recently stopped coaching just in the last couple of years. So he's been coaching for a while. He knows quite a bit about baseball. I've learned everything I know from him. And so I was lucky enough for that, but he was on and off coaching me because he didn't really want to be like the daddy coach. He loves coaching, but he didn't really want to kind of coach his kids forever, because he knew how that would kind of end up. And so I can't really pinpoint when it was like. I would say it started. I mean, if I were to pick an actual time, I would just say it started in high school.
Okay.
So yeah, I had a few good coaches that were pushing me, but then I had a few coaches that were kind of like, dude, kid, like, you can't do that. You're not going to make it. So that's kind of when it started. I know my high school coaches will probably listen to this and be like, wait, was that me? So
let's not name names. Bob Jones. Just kidding. I just made that up.
No, but I mean, in the end, it helped me to where I was, because without those kind of haters, I wouldn't have pushed myself to be like almost. I think a lot of people are just trying to prove other people wrong. It's like, you can't do this. Oh yeah, well, here you go. I'm going to show you, and I'm actually going to go above and beyond of what you don't think I can do, and I'm going to just keep sailing away until you're like, whoa, that guy's just sailing into the sunset and just kind of waving, hey, see you later, Right.
Now, there's something to be said for reverse psychology. And I don't know that coaches, when they say you don't have what it takes, or you don't have the mental stamina, or you're not tough enough, whatever they're saying, they're not saying, oh, I'm going to do the reverse psychology thing on this person. Is that from their perspective, that's what they feel and they see in their athletes, right? Because attitude is key. Like, it's 90% mental, 10% physical is what I believe. If you got that mental thing going, man, you could skyrocket. Now, here's what's interesting is that you sound like you're a freedom person like me. When you're allowed to do what you do, you excel. When it feels like when somebody starts to say things about you or put you in some type of box, you're not happy. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's exactly.
And so here you are. The coaches are the coaches for a reason. And now in high school, they're telling you stuff that doesn't gel with you, doesn't track with you. And then you're not happy. Can you see that looking backwards, in high school, where they were saying, because I know, before we talked to record the podcast, you were telling me how the coaches were saying that you didn't have, what did they say? The mental thing. Like, you were not mentally tough? Is that what something like that?
Yeah, basically, because it came down to when they would say, like, you're not good at this aspect, I'd be like, oh yeah, are you sure? And I would show them that I am good at that, and then they would be like, wait, you can't just like react the way you reacted, you're like a mental midget. And it's like, wait, I don't understand. I just proved you wrong. How am I a mental midget? Well, this is the way you reacted to what I said. So I was kind of conflicted there. But I almost was just, it wasn't just me, you know, like it wasn't just me that they're going after. They're not trying to purposely do the reverse psychology, but they're doing it on the whole team. And almost like you try to stand up and you try to prove the coach wrong so that maybe they can change their mindset on how they coach as well. I don't know. It's kind of, wow. I kind of just got deeper than I thought I was, but it's almost like I wanted to change the coach's mindset about how they coach everybody, not just me. And instead of being almost negative and calling and saying everybody's mentally weak or, you know, physically not capable, changing that and sort of pushing them to focus on their good abilities and what they're good at and just kind of strive with those. So I didn't really understand the whole point of, hey, you're mentally weak or you're a mental midget. That was like a thing that stuck in my head. You're a mental midget. Well, okay, that's like totally wrong in like so many different senses that you can talk about. That,
yeah, you're like, what the frick?
You're basically bullying me, calling me names, and somehow I'm the mental midget, you know? Like, that's so weird. That's like, doesn't make sense.
It's demented. Okay, wait a second. Were those the words, like one of the coaches said, you're a mental midget?
Yeah, I don't even know which coach it was that said that to me. I just remember being called that by a coach. I couldn't even put a name on it if I wanted to. And be like, hey, you're a mental midget. And like, wait, what? Okay, all right. And then you'll see if I'm a mental midget or not. And then it kind of goes from there. Maybe that's the word that stuck out of my brain that really was the complete driving force to get me where I was.
Well, there's a lot to be said because I ran off of the FU energy. I'll show you. That was my whole shtick, which is what happens. The only problem with that, Zach, in the long run and in the scheme of life in our professional career, whatever it is, it's not ultimately sustainable for longevity of happiness and joy and health and wellness. Do you understand? But,
yeah, it makes total sense.
Yeah, but it has gotten me a long way, and man, if looks could kill, there'd be a lot of people dead. You know, that would be the game, right? Yeah. Like, I'll show you. Couple things. When I was like 12 or 13 or 14 swimming, one summer, you know, at our swim club, I hated it. Now, there was a time I was like doing great and I loved it. I was having fun. The exact same thing you were saying, right? Having fun, just doing it. And then I didn't want to swim and my mom wouldn't listen. I still had to swim with my brothers and sisters. And that year and the awards at the end of the season in front of everybody, they gave me the certificate for the biggest complainer. Are you effing kidding me right now? And yet, Zach, I deserved it. If I look back, I absolutely deserved it. My attitude sucked. I hated being there. I hated getting in the cold water. And I was just the brattiest little kid, which was not my typical nature. So isn't that interesting? And then they awarded me, but why didn't they just kick me off the team and put me out of my misery? Like, what the frick? Like, clearly I'm not happy. If I were the parent to myself back then, I would have been like, why don't you want to go to swim? Like, your parents. I wanted your parents. Are you sure you want to quit? And like, you want to think about it? Okay. Yeah, okay, I think swimming's not for you. Why don't we go back to horseback riding? You know? None of that. Like, hello, red flags. Right? And so it's interesting the things we remember as kids, and it's usually the way that the brain is designed, it will memorize the negative. The negative. This is why the news is so popular and all negative stories are so popular, because the human brain is actually designed to focus on the negative for survival purposes. So this whole mental midget thing, like one coach said that, you don't even know who said it, but you remember the mental midget, and then you used it for good and not evil. And it was constantly, I'll show you. Right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, and that, like you said, it's not like a long-term sustaining thing. And it's because I think we talked about this before, was that it's really not where you're you're not really meant to strive. You're just kind of striving to just prove people wrong and show you, like, you know, I'll show you. And then you looking back on it, it's like, dude, I spent all these years trying to prove these couple of people wrong when really I'm not even happy anymore.
Bingo. Thank you, Zach. That is so brilliant. That's exactly what ends up happening. If you think about it logically, just even in this conversation, right? To put energy into I'll show you, I'll prove it, I'll prove you wrong. Right then it's exhausting. Versus the very thing you said, 8 years with the Red Hawks, you said it's unheard of to be in independent baseball for that long. Why was it that long for you? Because you were happy. You were free. Your coaches saw you. They got you. They let you do your magic as a shortstop. Of course you're going to sustain that. Can you see it now in retrospect?
Oh, yeah, totally. Before even we talking on this phone call, this last, like, year I've spent just, like, finding myself and figuring out, like, I even just figured out 2 days ago I had, like, an awakening in my apartment, and I figured out, like, my whole life has been spent for, like, has nothing to do with baseball. Everything that I've gone through, that as far as proving everybody wrong, and all my gifts that I have for baseball, all my gifts really have nothing to do with baseball. And so it's like,
that's awesome.
Whoa. It's like, whoa, man. Like, my eyes are open again. So.
Okay, whoa. We got to delve into this one. That is, like, so super deep. That is, like, my jam right there. Like, oh, God, damn. Okay, Zach, go ahead. Don't mess with location right now, okay? We gotta dig deep here, okay? Okay. That is freaking genius. Like, right, okay, so it's never about baseball. Tell us more. Like, go deeper and be specific. Like, what do you mean by that? It's not about baseball, like, your whole life. What was it about?
So, even farther back, my grandmother, the most amazing person I've ever known my whole life. She had 22 grandchildren, and she touched every single one of them. And even to this day, my cousin's having kids, and if it's a girl, their middle name is Ruth instantly. And so she put this power and energy into all of us that kept us all alive. And even today, when people are in tough patches, they just think about her, and she pulls them through. But what point I'm trying to get to is that she would always tell me, for me, she would always tell me, Zach, you have a gift. You're gifted. And I thought it was only athletically. And it was, yeah, you're right. I am gifted. I am, I have great hand-eye coordination. I can run really good. And I'm a great athlete. I can play tennis and golf and soccer and everything. So I was like, yeah, Grandma, you're right. I do have a gift. But the other night, I had this epiphany. And really, my gift I realized was my heart. And, like, the love that I can give to people. But it got stripped away from me because of I would say one certain specific situation kind of stripped my voice and my heart and my love that I was trying to give. And so I turned into this guy that always was the devil's advocate. I took the other side just so I could start a debate or anything like that, just to kind of get deeper into people's brains. And instead of just spreading the love that I have, so, like, my grandmother's been telling me my whole life, Zach, you're gifted. And it's like, yeah, I am physically gifted. And just the other night, after all these years, my whole life came down to me realizing that my true gift is the love that I can bring, that my heart is just, like, so big. And I didn't even know this until the other night. And I was doing circles. Like, if you see my apartment, it's a small little thing. I was doing circles around my ottoman in my room, just super energized. And I was just telling my wife, like, dude, my gift this whole time. And I'm just, like, sprinting around my apartment. It was actually kind of a funny scene.
Oh my God. Yeah, I totally get it.
I was just awake, and it was super mind. It was like, my brain was just exploding in so many different ways. And I started writing, and it was just kind of the word that kept coming was like, your heart and your love can really influence people. And I know we talked about this before, was that I felt I didn't have a voice forever. I would try to talk and people wouldn't listen. That was because I wasn't listening to people. So I really had this influence, but I wasn't opening my eyes to it. Is because I just wasn't listening to people, so they weren't listening to me. But really, I have this extreme influence on people, and I have this tremendous heart that I didn't even know I had until now. I mean, I knew I was like a loving person and I had a big heart, but that is really what my grandmother was telling me my whole life, is that's your gift. That's it right there. Like, it has nothing to do with anything that you've been doing your whole life. You're so good at all these sports. That's not your gift. Everything is for something else. And that's what I'm kind of talking about.
Oh my God. Okay. And then, most importantly, you weren't listening to yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. And then, meaning listening to your grandmother, you were listening, but what you were hearing through your filter of, oh yeah, my gifts obviously are sports and my athleticism, but you're just a kid, right? How are you going to know that as a kid? So do you remember how old you were the first time she said that to you, that you were like, you heard that from her?
Forever, like my first memory ever of sitting with my grandmother.
Yeah.
She was telling me that.
Okay. So then how old were you? 2, 3, 1?
Jeez. I think I told you that the other day I hadn't really had a memory before I was 10, but now that I've been doing a lot of work on myself, I would say I can remember back until I was about 4 or 5 years old. Yeah, so like 4 or 5.
Yeah, exactly. See, the memories are there. We can tap into them. And when people say I don't have a memory, it's because it's blocked out. I call it temporary amnesia. The temporary amnesia effect, right? Because usually it's tied to pain, or it just actually what happens in neuroscientifically are those neuronal connections. Those neural connections are just weak, right? They're soft wired, not hardwired, right? What's hardwired, for instance, is this whole mental midget thing that becomes hardwired, right? But this stuff, so you just tapped into it. You could remember, and then those were her words, right? Oh, you have a gift. Is that what you remember? She just said you were gifted. You have a gift. But
she would just say like, "Hey, Zach, you're really gifted. You have a gift. God has given you a gift."
Ah, right. So then it's up to you to figure out. Well, you then took your consciousness and you filled in the blanks with what you thought she was saying in retrospect, right? You were thinking it was your athleticism because that's what you just said. Isn't that right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and that's how the mind works. Somebody says something, and we go, "Wait, did they just say I'm fat?" Like, you're like, "Oh, you look different." Oh my God, did they just say I was fat? Did they? What? Like, no, they didn't say that. You're right. We fill in the blanks with our perceptions. We're like, what? And it's the whole joke of like the man and the wife, and oh, I'm tired. I wish I could go to the gym. Oh, I'm tired. I wish I could go to the gym. He's hearing this for like 3 months, and then the anniversary comes up, and he buys her a gym membership. Right? She's been saying it all along, and she's like, oh my God, he thinks I'm fat and out of shape. He thinks you're right. Why is he buying me a gym membership? Because you've been saying it, right? But we have this way, and the brain is a prediction machine. It like makes up its own stories and myths, and that's what you got out of it. But this is the power of self-evolution. Here you are. You've been consciously, overtly working on yourself. Isn't that true, Zach? Like on your mindset and delving deeper into yourself to learn more about you. That's true, yes?
Totally.
Mm-hmm. And that was by conscious choice. And so how long has that been going on for? That you could say, all right, I'm really going to start looking at myself deeply.
Basically, since I retired from baseball. Actually, it kind of started my last year with the Red Hawks. It was it was a eye-opening experience as well, where I just kind of made the wrong decision to go back because I didn't want to. It wasn't the right feeling for me, but I did because I thought that it was my only option in life. And so that's when I realized the influence I have on people and the energy that I bring to the room. And my energy is basically going to be the energy of the room. And honestly, I didn't want all that. I didn't want that kind of responsibility. But that was a huge life lesson for me. So I think it started, when I retired, and I just decided, I got to figure out what pushed me so far. Basically, I had a great career. I had fun. I have all this love around me, but what's next, and how do I stay as happy as I was in those middle years with the Red Hawks when life was just flying by, but it was like I can remember so many of those memories because they were just the best times of my life. Wow. And I still tell stories about, I'm going to be telling those stories till I die.
Yeah.
So that's it's been going on for, say, 2 years, but since getting back into touch with Dave, that's when I've really started to dig deep. And then the group that I went with you and Mark and Rex and all those guys, that's when I really started to be like, I gotta jump in like full, I gotta dive in head first, no hands in front of me, just my forehead going straight in. And that's when I started meditating ritually and just kind of trying to figure out how my brain was working. I think being called a mental midget or whatever, mentally weak, but I knew I wasn't.
Yeah.
And I knew I had everything. I knew I had everything to push me through. And I'm just kind of reflecting basically on how I did it. And I'm just figuring out more. So it's been really, really hardcore in the last 6 months, and extreme in the last 2-3 months.
Yeah.
So,
but that's how it's done. I mean, that's where all the power lies. I say it from this perspective. That FU energy. I'll show you. I'll prove it to you. That I say I was driven by pain. Do you get that? Like underneath it, that's being driven by pain. And I've been working now since, consciously since 9. My sister, because of my sister dying in 2006. And now the practice is to be driven by pleasure and passion and not pain. Right? And that's how I see it from my point of view. Like all the years, and I've succeeded in so many levels of my life, not sports necessarily, although, yeah, in sports I did extremely well, but it was like my life, making money and having a career in real estate, my own personal training business and becoming a professional dancer and all this stuff, blah, blah. But most of that was driven by pain and anguish and the need to prove. Does that make sense, Zach? Like I needed, yeah,
totally.
Yeah. And now I was like, okay, that's not sustainable because I wasn't happy. I'm not having fun. I didn't feel like doing anything. I didn't want to do it anymore. And now it's like, okay, what? That feeling that you talk about in those 8 years of having fun and all the stories, yeah, absolutely talk about them. I believe in past lives. Come back and talk about those same happy stories. Like, keep doing that, right? But the flow, when you even talk about it, there's this energy of you like being so happy. Playing baseball, getting paid for it, and having fun. And being allowed to just do your magic on the field and off the field, right? And if you, like I played softball. So I know that feeling, that poetry in motion. When, the ball's hit, it's on the ground, you go down, you pick up the ball. It's just like poetry in motion. You throw it to first base or wherever you're throwing it is like a dance. And there's this flow, like a Zen feeling, Like I can even imagine it right now in my head, especially the shortstops, is that feeling, you know what I'm talking about, obviously, where it's like you hear the crack of the bat, the ball, boom, and it's like doot, doot, and it's just simple, so simple. But how fun is that? And then you talk about all the people in Fargo, how they love this independent baseball team as if it were their pro team in their town, and they're treating you like celebrity baseball players, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, how fun is that? Really?
Yeah. I call myself a mini celebrity.
Yeah, exactly. And you are. You are, because that's what we do. We admire and respect and adore the people who deep down have what it takes to get there on the field, to play, to become that level, whatever it is. Isn't that true?
Yeah, and that's what I would had been searching for. Like my whole life was this, I wanted a voice and I wanted influence, and I had it. I was influencing kids to grow their hair out, and they wanted to play baseball. They came to every camp that we have, and some of them came to every game, every home game that we had, and I was still searching for this voice that I just wanted to argue with people and kind of confront the opposing side, just so I could talk to people, as opposed to just being like, man, I already have what I've been wanting this whole time. It's right in front of me, but it's I'm blind to it. Yeah.
Okay. This is exactly how this works. This is the human condition. This is why I'm in this business, because it's so fascinating and yet so simple. And you're just like, whoa, and it's mind blowing. But I want to talk about, do you mind sharing, you had said, your grandmother Ruth kept telling you at about the age of 4 or 5 that you can remember that you have a gift, and that's wonderful. But you also talked about there was one situation where that was stolen away from you, or you lost that the love in your heart and that voice.
Yeah, for sure. It was a time in middle school that I had no idea even really happened to me until just recently, when my parents had told me that I was just basically standing up for a girl who was a friend. I didn't like her. I didn't have a crush on her, but my other friend was, whatever they call it in 7th grade, is that they were dating, I guess. And he's just kind of being a jerk to her, and she was telling me about it, and so I said something about it, stood up for it, and like I said, bringing that love out, and just showing love and compassion towards somebody, and just standing up for them, because a lot of people they can't stand up for themselves, which is nothing wrong with that. They just don't want to. So there's people in this world who have a gift that are just stand up for people, and they say stuff that are on other people's minds, but they're the ones that say it. Yep. So I was the guy, and I still am the guy. And I said it, and next thing you know, a bunch of backlash. I was the bad guy. Actually ended up getting threatened by one of my, I guess it was my friend's friend. We weren't really friends at the time, so an acquaintance, I guess, and he threatened me. I mean, in 7th grade, he was death threats and everything like that. And
oh my God,
I ended up being the bad guy because my parents saw it, and it was the internet was kind of just starting out, so posting death threats online on AOL Instant Messenger. I don't know if you ever remember that.
I know AOL. I never had AOL. That's hilarious. But AOL.
They called it AIM. They called it AIM, AOL Instant Messenger. So getting death threats on that, my parents went to the school like, what's going on? This is like a serious threat. And they were like, no big deal. It's just something on computer. It's just words or whatever. Back when words actually just back when sticks and stones would break your bones, but words would never hurt you.
Oh my God.
Back in that day. So it was like, yeah, they're just words. And so my parents were like, no, this is serious. Call the cops in. Just kind of be like, look, this is serious. We don't want them arrested, but something has to be done. And I was still kind of like, what the heck is going on in my head? And keep going along. it was like a couple days, and finally my parents got his parents involved, and his parents were like, we totally agree. We need to sit them down and be like, look, this is wrong. You can't do this. And they settled it with their kid. My parents explained to me what was going on. But I would go to school, and I still was the bad guy. Everybody was looking at me like, oh, why are you telling on somebody? Oh, you're such a wuss, whatever. Why are you scared of somebody just making threats to you? And even the faculty was kind of thinking the same thing. So my parents actually told me they remember when I would just kind of put my hood on, and I would just walk around like this guy that what the heck? Why is everybody picking on me, you know?
Yeah.
And that's when I lost my voice, which come to find out a couple months later was when Columbine happened.
Oh my God.
And so everybody kind of was like, whoa, like this is a serious thing. And my parents were like, hey, told you guys, you know, like this stuff happens.
Yep.
And everybody remembers Columbine. So that was right around that same time. And that's when I completely lost my voice. It was, I went instantly into, I was 12 years old. I started smoking cigarettes. I was in the popular crowd. I started smoking cigarettes. I just distanced myself from the popular crowd. And I started actually the next year, started smoking weed. And, you know, it just carried on from there. I didn't become an addict or anything like that. It was just kind of a little rebellion of like, okay, you guys don't want me to share my love, then I'm just going to go in the corner and kind of just, you know, suppress it, I guess you could say. I don't even know if that's even a thing.
Yeah,
but,
it is.
Yeah, so I would just be like, you know, I'm out of here. I'm tired of being this guy that has all this love and has this stand-up ability of sticking up for something. And that has affected me. I blocked it out until my parents told me recently. And I blocked it out, and I figured that I spent all my time in baseball and in locker rooms being the devil's advocate and being this a passive-aggressive person toward my friends even.
Yep.
And it was all because of this love that I have, and my voice was gone, and I wanted it back. And nobody was giving it to me. And freaking crazy that I spent my whole life trying to get back this one moment when really that freaking one moment doesn't even really matter. It's just been affecting me my whole life because that's how our brains work. Like you said, you just block stuff out and in return you get this habit or this, I don't know what it's called, this thing where you just, hey, you know what, F you. Listen to me because I'm right. I know what I have inside. And nobody hears it because you can't even accept it for yourself. So that was the situation that basically sums up most of my complaining, most of my passive aggressiveness, most of my argumentative side, that one moment in my life. And I had no idea until I started hanging out with you guys and being on this different vibration, and my parents obviously telling me about the situation as well.
Right, and this is exactly how the human brain is programmed. This is it's diabolical, it's insidious, it's unconscious and invisible, and you just said it. So you're 12 years old. Let's just recap the story. You have a friend who's a girl. You were not involved, but her boyfriend was mistreating her. And she kept saying, he's mistreating me. And you stood up and said something. So that would help her, right? Because of your loving heart to stop the pattern. And then you become the bad guy for standing up for good. Isn't that in short?
Yeah, totally. I mean, everybody around the situation saw that he was being kind of a jerk to her, and I was just the only one that stood up, really. Yeah,
and you become the bad guy. Now, this is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. all over again. This is John Lennon. Who in their right mind kills John Lennon? You got to be out of your freaking mind, you idiot. Right? Like, okay, so you're writing songs about love and peace, and somebody assassinates you? Well, hello, Zach, it's very similar. Can you see this?
That's awesome. I just got compared to Martin Luther King and John Lennon. That's
beautiful.
Beautiful.
And that's what it takes. Nelson Mandela, like people who are willing to stand up against all odds and say, this isn't right. Slavery, wrong. Okay, now Abraham Lincoln. Okay, not going to fly, people. But what happens is, if we think about it logically, how idiotic and absurd does it sound that you would be the bad guy for protecting a 12-year-old girl? Right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they just thought it was because I liked her, and that was not the case at all.
I know, because people are stupid. Okay, sorry.
Oh, man.
And by the way, I said that to myself at age 8. And I've been, like that, I did not make up. I've been carrying that. I call them mind viruses, like life sentences. I swear, I remember the moment I'm like, people are so stupid. Right? And who even says that? And I memorized that. And I have this perceptive filter that I had to work around, Zach, to let go of. People are stupid. And at 12 years old, you said, I have no voice. I can't be me. In essence, isn't that true? That you said something of that nature to yourself.
Spot on.
Uh-huh. Yep. And I can't stand up for what I believe, which is the right thing, the noble thing, the honorable thing. Right? And you're protecting another human and then female. Don't even get me started on Ray Rice, the football player, knocking his girlfriend out. That's what ends up happening later on, is the girl that you protected, seriously, Zach, becomes the domestic violence case where the professional, successful football player knocks her unconscious and she goes and marries him. Whoa. Right? And you did the right thing. You not only did you do the right thing, you did the obvious thing. And yet you were persecuted for that. So no wonder you have to shut up. And then guess what? The smoking, those are self-defense coping mechanisms, and so is this attitude of F you, I'll show you. That's just a coping mechanism. And that was your main driving force. Is it sustainable? No. Right? And here you are, because of you choosing to work on yourself and dig deep and go back, because we have to. We have to go back and rewrite the scripts. This is hanging out with all of us, right, in our certification training, right, to be able to coach other human beings in their mental performance, their ability to perform based on the mind and mentality. You are able to put this all together and claim your voice back. So how does it make you feel to think, right? Like you said it. You're like around your little apartment, you're like running around like a happy gerbil. Woo! Like, oh my God, this is so exciting. And then you say, and I have to reiterate it, like this, it's never been about baseball. Baseball's just been the physical manifestation to help you cope also. But what really mattered is all along your gift of your heart and love and bringing that to humanity and the world. Your grandmother had a gift of seeing that in all of you. And that's why she's a legend in your family. That was her gift, is to see you in all your glory and brilliance for who you really are. Isn't that true?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so she was spot on. But we have to go through all of this, Zach, to get where you are. In other words, it is that, unfortunately, through crisis, are we most motivated to change? And I say transform. Because that's the wake-up call. Like you have, choosing to leave baseball, that's a wake-up call, isn't it? Like
yeah. Like I said, that last year I just went because I thought that was like just my only option. So
yeah, and then so you're saying it was time in that last year. You say to yourself just before that year, okay, what am I doing with my life? In other words, why were you questioning not going back? Possibly because you weren't happy anymore.
Yeah, I wasn't happy anymore. I just figured like there's something bigger out there. Like I mean, baseball gave me everything my whole life.
Yeah.
And I gave everything to it as well. And I kind of I felt like I was unhappy. And my dad always told me so awesome of my parents to just support me my whole career, because without some support or like an off-season steady job where you have to leave for 4 months, say, hey, employer, I got to leave for 4 months. And if you don't have a job like that or some supporting parents, you can't play until you're 30 years old. It's just impossible. It's not a good living situation. You can't afford to live.
Oh my God.
I mean, I just felt like it was time. I'd give everything. Baseball gave me a lot, and I just felt like it was time to kind of take everything I learned from it and put it toward a bigger purpose, I guess, and just my next step in my life, my next phase. So my dad always said, you'll know when the time comes. You'll know when it's time to retire. And I knew, but I decided I was almost, I guess you could say I was kind of scared to go to the next step. So I just said, you know what? I know I'm ready to retire, but let's just go back one more year, because I know I'll have fun. It's playing baseball, whatever. Like, there's no way I can't have fun. And it was the worst time in my whole life.
Wow.
So, I mean, I had a great time with the people, with the guys on the team, but there was, I mean, and I still made some great friends that year, but it was the worst time. I totally shut myself off again on the bus. And we sucked. My attitude affected the whole team. It affected some of my friendships that I had already had and already built over the years. And it was one of the worst decisions I made in my whole life. But it taught me so much. Like, it was almost like the worst decision, but also a great decision at the same time, because of the learning experience that I had from it.
Oh God, I love that. And you know what else I'm getting to is, I love that you said you knew it was time to retire. You knew. That's the knowing. Your intuition, right? Your heart knew. But your brain said, because of the fear, you know, and habit, you went back. And sure enough, there was a conflict between your heart and your brain. Can you see that?
Yeah.
And so it was the worst year, but I love how now you can look back and see it was one of the best opportunities ever. And that's the best way to rewire the brain, is through experience, is to go, oh my God, that was the worst thing. Does that make sense? Like, to experience the conflict.
Yeah, it makes sense, because that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. Oh my God. This is so incredible. I love everything that I'm hearing, Zach, because this is life. But the thing that was so smart about you, well, first of all, I got to tell you, I mean, your parents are amazing. And
amazing.
Yeah. And then supporting you. And then it all tracks and makes sense. Now, when we talked, and you were initially telling me your story, and I'm like, oh, Zach, I got to have you on my podcast. And you said, yeah, they were calling you mental midget and you were mentally weak, or, you know, you didn't have what it took mentally, whatever they were saying. And I'm like, wait a minute. Did not one coach ever pull you aside and say, look, you, right now, it occurs that you mentally are not in the game, that you're selling yourself short here. What's really going on? Not one coach actually dug deeper for you. They just said, you're mentally weak, you're a mental midget, and left it at that. Nope. Is that right? And you said no coach actually said, hey, listen, something else is going on. Talk to me.
Yeah, totally. There's very few coaches that actually do that. That even on the physical side, where it's like they can see something wrong, but they just say like, hey, well, you're not doing that right. And they never give you a way of working through it or dealing with it or how to fix it. They never give you that. They just tell you what's wrong, and then, oh, hey, you need to work on this. Okay, well, how do I work on that? I don't know. You just need to work on it. So it's like there's very, very few coaches throughout history that can do that. And when you get one, it's a true blessing, and you should take advantage of it.
Right, and that's why you and I are training to be those coaches.
Exactly.
For our athletes, and our, athletes a metaphor for our life athletes. I call the Olympians of life and professional athletes, right?
Totally. Yeah, exactly. I want to be the coach that I never had, really.
Hey, me too. Like,
oh my gosh.
What? Go ahead, say it. Epiphany, go.
Yeah, totally. I mean, totally.
You just said it.
I actually, I mean, but I had a great coach in my dad. But,
yes.
it's just like it wasn't. It's different. It's and it's different when it's your dad.
Totally.
I mean,
he's emotionally involved.
That, so.
But although your dad was a great dad, is a great dad, no question. But you're right, your dad's emotionally involved, so we couldn't be that objective about it. Because he's your dad, right?
Yeah.
So I know what you're saying. But I love what you just said. I want to be the coach that I never had. And, think about this. So either your same thing at 12, I had the same thing happen with the biggest complainer. Why didn't one of those dumb blankety blank coaches say to me, okay, you're not happy, little girl? What's going on? Maybe swimming isn't for you. Nobody says that, Zach. And come the award ceremony, they give me biggest complainer. That's very scarring for a child.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely. I mean, you wouldn't be the biggest complainer in a baseball locker room, though. That's for sure.
Then it would have been the team award. Yeah, you were saying in the locker room, you guys were constantly complaining.
Yeah, I mean, because there's so much downtime that all you have to do is complain, really, and all you're thinking about is kind of those negative things.
But isn't that weird? Let's take a step out for a second and be the observer in this situation. If we us spectators, right, that come watch you at your games, and then we hear you, say they secretly mic'd the locker room, and we heard all of you complaining about your life, we would have never respected you anymore. Because you have nothing to complain about. You're being paid to play a dumb game. Really. Right? Seriously, what are you complaining about, guys? If we just observe it for a second. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, I mean, but if you actually think about it, it's probably because, they all think that there's a higher purpose for themselves as well. It's
and
they're sitting there wasting their time in a locker room.
Yes.
Yeah, they love playing a baseball game and they're good at it, but really in the end, it's that's not really what it's for. And so, I mean, hey, what are we here doing? We're just sitting in a locker room, kind of wasting time waiting for the game to come around. And then we play a game, and then what? We go out and we go to the bar and drink beer. What is that all about? That's not a life purpose.
Exactly. Right? But if you, when you're in it, it makes sense. When you're observing it and looking at it, it makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's deep. Whoa. Okay. So this is so we're about to wrap it up here. Time flies when we're having fun. I mean, you said so many incredible things, so inspiring. I'm so inspired. And I love that you can go back and see, because that's everything. My work is based on 19 years old and under. Exactly all the negative situations that a human being goes through from 19 years old and under, even if you're a million years old in this lifetime. Everything is formulated and creates a foundation from our early childhood. And then you nailed it. 12 years old, you lost your voice. Then you had to go through all these amazing experiences. Most of it really great. Some of it not so great. To come full circle, Zach, back to owning your heart and the love that you always had within you and your voice, right? The voice to speak up and stand up for what you believe, regardless of what other people say, think, or do, right? Because now you're mature enough and confident enough to go do that, even if they think you're doing the wrong thing. That's what it takes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And, most people, Zach, between you and me and whomever's listening, right, is that it takes more courage to speak up and out than it does to not. Because haters are going to hate Taylor Swift. I got to love that. And then what do? Right? Do you worry about people, the haters, and not be true to thyself and go to your grave that way? Or do you say what you want to say and then deal with the haters and then face those people? Because people are going to hate. There's nothing we can do about that, unfortunately. So at this point in your life, what's the better option?
Yeah.
That's deep, right?
Yeah.
If I'm your friend and I have any say, I'll be like, Zach, you better speak up and I got your back, right? Is you go and be you and say what you got to say. And then if somebody's like going, oh, Zach, shut up, or, you know, they're saying bad things, then it's better to deal with that than you keep in not saying anything. Wouldn't you agree?
I totally agree with that, yes.
And so, because I come from the same thing. As a matter of fact, I never spoke. My mother forgot me in the car after my 4-H meeting when I was just like 7 or 8 years old. She's like, did we forget Karen? I was like in the back seat. She totally thought she forgot me at my 4-H club meeting. It's like, what? So I'm just saying, keep speaking up and do it for yourself and your soul, because the people, you know, it's the whole Steve Jobs thing. If you're crazy enough to believe that speaking up will change the world, then you're the one to change the world. And most people are going to go against that, because most people, right, stay in status quo and what's comfortable and don't speak up. Can you see that in life?
Yeah, and I mean, what's coming to me really right now is that it's like I truly believe that there's like greatness in everybody, whether it's like just being great at the current job that you have, or, you know, just being great at, you know, your Thursday night softball league.
Yep.
There's greatness in everybody, but I feel like once somebody gets shut down, they turn it into their whole life, so they start shutting everybody else down. When instead of just being like, hey, well, somebody shut me down, my greatness was like suppressed. Now I'm going to build somebody else up so I don't suppress their greatness and start building them up. Everybody just starts pushing it down like the funnel, and it's just like, hey, I'm going to hold you down, because my whole life I've been held down, so I'm going to hold you down. So that's kind of what's coming to me as far as this whole conversation.
Yeah, and that's awesome. So that's, you know, on that note, I want you to tell us, you know, the words of wisdom for people listening and people who can relate to you, and even people who can't relate to you. You know, what, from your experience in your voice, what can you tell us that you want to say that would inspire us and keep us motivated and going for our life? What else anything else you'd like to say? Because I'm listening. Yeah,
just kind of that, is the fact that everybody has greatness within them deep down, but the only thing is that you got to trust all the voices that go through your head, especially the positive stuff. And instead of hearing the positive stuff and saying, yeah, I don't know if that's, you know, especially because of the fear and the doubt, it's just trusting yourself and knowing that there is something greater for you. You're not meant to just be held down and to just be negative upon yourself, because there's plenty of negative people already in your life that are going to hate. I mean, I've been a hater myself.
Yep.
And
me too.
But the real thing is that you have to love yourself and then trust that you are meant to just bring that greatness out and bring it to the world, no matter what you're doing.
Yeah. You know, I mean, exactly right. And so when you said it was never about the baseball all these years, or any of the sports, you're saying it was all about you owning your own greatness and then sharing it with the rest of us to help us. Is that what? Yeah. Okay. That's
exactly, yes. And it's almost more, it was like this whole life lesson of realizing, like, dude, like, wake up, like you are the influence that you've been searching for, and you are like the voice. You have the voice already. Like, freaking wake up. It's going to take you until you play that last year in Fargo when you're miserable to realize this lesson. That, like, you already have what you're looking for. Now go take your gift and go take it to the world. That's exactly what my whole life has been about, and that was while I was sprinting laps, you know.
Yeah. Oh my God, right? And fielding balls and like going and hitting ball after ball after ball, right? And that, like, underneath it, but that, again, that is magnificent. What you just said is so awesome. And you coach now baseball players, like up and coming young baseball players, right?
I do, yes.
Yeah.
And the amount of negativity and negative self-talk is just mind-blowing. And I was never that negative toward myself, ever. It was always the people around me that were negative, and the people that talked down to me that were negative. I was always, I can do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to, obviously, we've been talking about the whole time, I'm going to show you that I can do this. But the amount of negative self-talk that happens nowadays with kids is just, oh my gosh, astronomical. And I want to change that, not just in baseball players. I think I never wanted to coach, but my brother pretty much forced me into it. And I've just learned to love not just coaching baseball, but just coaching people into becoming better human beings. I just want some better human beings on the planet. That's all I want.
Amen. Exactly. Like, that's also my goal, right? Whether you're playing sports or not. And I do believe, I have to say this for myself, I was the biggest hater of myself in retrospect when I figured that out. The reason why I hated people is because I really hated myself. And then it's Psych 101, which is then you project that outward. You transfer it outward, right? That's called projection and transference, is if I'm hating myself, that's all I can see is hate. So, of course, I look at the rest of my life and everyone in it, and I can only see hate. And then the more I fell in love with myself and learned to do that and evolve within myself, then I started to really fall in love. As I fell in love with myself and that little inner child, I started to fall in love with humanity and the world, you see? And that's what it is. So anyone who hates is because they're really projecting self-hatred. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And then, because I lived it. Yeah, and all those people, Zach, I mean, the thing I love about your story is almost like a fairy tale. To have parents that supported you, for you to be optimistic and come from love, especially as a male, you know, and wear the fanny pack, and have the father especially. I believe that father-son relationship is so vitally important for males. And you had all of that going for you, right? Like, that's so inspiring right there. And the support had you be very, you know, you are a threat just being happy and fun and light and bright when most people are negative. You see how that can be a threat?
Yeah, that's exactly what happens, yes.
Yep. If you're like you're the only light in the cave, it's like, oh, okay. And there's all those bats flying around. That's a threat to the bats. And what do all those bats want to do? They want to like put the light out because they like the darkness. And that was you. Like, I really see it. And now I see what your grandmother's talking about. Like, you were just this brilliant light floating around. And when most people come from darkness, then that's going to be a threat. And in the brain, that's exactly what happens, is it triggers the amygdala, the fear mechanism, into fight, flight, or freeze, and it's fight or flight. And most people fought, and they fought you. But we're here to say, like, you know what? You go, man. You just go and keep doing your magic, because you have so much to offer. It's ridiculous. It's redunculous, right?
Redunculous.
Yeah, redunculous. Okay, so my God. So you're coaching where? And if people want to get a hold of you, how do we, you know, if anyone has any feedback or would like to contact you and connect with you, is there a contact? Don't give out phone numbers, but you have an email or website you'd like to share?
I do not have a website, but I am coaching at this place called Sports Academy out in Newbury Park, California, Southern California. It's a huge facility with every kind of sport you can think of, including, you know, a mindset development area. And there's, I mean, lacrosse, basketball, soccer, everything, anything you name. We even have Nerf gun fights in there too, so that's pretty cool. But that's where I work. Okay. If you want to just get a hold of me personally, you can go on my Facebook or my Instagram. I'm also on Twitter, but I pay more attention to Instagram and Facebook. I've actually just started recently getting back on Facebook because of all the negativity that's gone on there for the last little bit. But I think it's transitioning back into positive stuff. So that's where you can reach me: Facebook, Zach Penprase, or on Instagram, Penprase6. And you just private message me, I think my phone number might be on my Facebook or whatever. If you get a hold of me and you really want to, start talking to me, then I love text messaging. I love talking on Voxer. I love being connected to people. Like connection is my thing. I have to be connected to people at all times, and not just through cell phones. And I love to face to face connect with people because that's kind of my gift. So
yeah, I love that. So Zach is a Z-A-C-H.
Z-A-C-H, yes, and then last name is Penprase, Zach Penprase, just how it's spelled.
Yeah. Penprase.
S-E.
S-E, yeah. So people can find you. So if we even Google you, you'll come up, right? And then on Facebook.
Yeah, if you Google me, you'll see a bunch of pictures of me playing baseball, basically. So.
Oh my God, that's so awesome. I'm gonna do that. I didn't do that because I didn't need to because I already know you. But that's awesome. In case anyone, even wants to have you help them with their mental game, you're available. So wait, at this facility where you teach, is your specialty fielding or hitting, or do you have a specialty?
My specialty is fielding. I do give infielding lessons and hitting lessons. I give them mostly hitting lessons because people don't care about fielding anymore. They just care about hitting home runs and throwing the baseball really hard. But also my true ability is stealing bases. So I also do that as well, and that's a rarity these days because people think you got to be fast to do that, but I wasn't really that fast.
You were smart, right?
I was super smart. Yep. I studied pitchers. I learned how to get good jumps. I just dove in, and I knew I wasn't fast, so I had to figure out some other way to do it, and that was just like fun for me. Like baseball's too slow. It's weird because for me, baseball's like slow. Like the battle between the pitcher and the hitter is awesome, but when you're not doing that, like you got to find some other way to like speed up the game. And my thing was I'm going to steal second and steal third, and it's just like another game within the game. So.
Oh my God, that's so exciting. I just think it's really cool, and the reason I'm asking is because a friend of mine once, he played baseball and then he quit. That's another whole story. And then he's like, hey, Karen, when I come out to visit, let's go to I inspired him to go back to baseball and just play for fun. And he's like, let's go to the batting cages. And I'm like, okay, Zach, I know it's on the podcast. Hopefully he won't listen. But I'm like, oh my God, I was a home run queen in, JV in high school on the softball team. That's softball. So it's that big softer ball. But I haven't hit in so long. I'm like, Zach, do you guys have like a batting cage over there? I got to practice before he gets here. And I was kidding. I'm cheating.
We have a huge turf area where we can like either have just the turf all open or we can split it up into 3 cages. So it's actually really cool. The whole place is high tech, and
oh my God,
it's amazing. Like people are always like, I wish I had this when I was a kid. But yeah, I think it's awesome. Kids can go in there and enjoy it. You could spend like a full day in there and stay busy the whole time.
Oh my God, but adults really cool. Can come in there too, right?
Yeah, adults can come in there. Like, mostly the adults come in there to get like personal training, like
lesson.
Sports.
Yeah.
No. They come in there to get like to work out, to get stronger, like to work with a personal trainer.
Oh.
But like we also have like physical therapists in the back, and doctors come in 3 times a week, and we have like a full recovery center, which I think is huge. Recovery, injury prevention is enormous because I've had 2 shoulder surgeries myself and a wrist surgery, so I know how that is, and that is mentally tolling. Being injured, having surgery is the biggest mentally draining thing, and with your car accident, it just you never think you're ever going to be the same again.
Yep.
And so you just be like, oh, I guess I'm just going to deal with what I have now. This is how I am for the rest of my life. And then, a year later, you're like back, you're even better than you were before.
Oh my God, that's so awesome. So do you get a lot of like adult baseball? This is the last question. Do you get adult baseball players or athletes and they say, yeah, I used to play back in the day, but I don't play anymore. And then they still want to be playing and they're not. Do you meet people like that?
This is like a whole other podcast.
Oh, okay. So we'll have to come back and talk about that. Maybe that's what we need to do is set it up.
Yeah, I mean, everybody, every person, I think 98% of boys play Little League baseball or something. So when they come in and they're like, oh, yeah, I played when I was a kid. So instantly it's like everybody played baseball, not necessarily other sports. So they've all played, so they know that they want to play again. So everybody says, man, I wish I still played baseball, or I wish I would have played longer, or, all this stuff, when really they probably just were terrible.
I coach a lot of men executives, and, they'll tell me way back in the day, they're like, I always want to be a baseball player. I hear that most of the time with most of my male clients. Isn't that interesting?
Oh, yeah. That's not interesting. I know exactly. That's just how it is.
Oh, jeez.
That's the number one sport, so it's funny.
Oh, is it really? Oh, okay. No wonder. And I think, my God, what is the problem here? Like,
yeah. It's like, everybody's like, yeah, I played baseball, but you know what? I really just liked running around and hitting people with a helmet, so I played football instead. But I really wish I played baseball longer. It's always something that always come back to baseball. So I know there's a bunch of listeners out there like, yeah, I wish I did play baseball a little bit longer. Yeah,
but you know what? Definitely. There are so many leagues out there, right? And you still play because you're coach. Are you still playing for recreation?
No, I just play softball now. It's just like a fun league I play with my dad and his friends. So,
okay, but you're still playing. That counts.
Yeah, I still play because I've been active my whole life. Yeah. I still play. Like, I want to get into an adult soccer league and everything, so I'm still an active guy.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole point. Like, who cares if it's baseball? Like, how many times, like, we want to send this last message to everyone. Get off your butt and go play, right? Like, hit the field. Instead of talking about it, at least get in a softball league or some type of league, or get to the batting cages, or go take lessons. You know what I'm saying? Zach and I don't want to hear about it.
Exactly.
Get out on the field and play. And that's the last thing we're going to say there. Zach, my God, you're so awesome. Awesome. I always wanted to be a cheerleader, and I would do a cheer for you, but I wasn't. That is another podcast of why I wasn't a cheerleader. Yeah.
Please do a cheer for me and put it up on YouTube.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to teach the girls at the rehab center at hip hop class. I did as a joke, but then one of the girls shot me down in recovery because she was a cheerleader. Oh my God. That's another whole story. Anyway, I'm going to do a cheer, and it will be dedicated to you, Zach. And I'm going to teach the girls a regular cheer. There'll be a little hip hop in it, but I got to do it just for my own salvation. For my own healing. I wanted to be a cheerleader, but I never was confident enough. And I ended up playing the safe thing and playing sports. So there's that. So we'll talk about that in another podcast. Zach, will you join us again and come back and talk with us again?
I would love that. I would Karen Lovely that.
Oh my God. You're amazing. And thank you. Again, so many inspiring things for myself. I'm re-inspired. And the thing that I really love is, for a long time, I dated, like a handful of professional baseball players. Interesting. Let's not go into that right now. But I got away from sports, like totally, even though I played a lot of sports, and I'm back in, like I've come full circle. So that alone, like I'm going to go look at all your videos and watch you. I am enthralled with athleticism, especially in the game of baseball. Like, that's one of the most intriguing things for me, and that's what you inspire me, is like, oh my God, Zach, you know how to throw a ball? Like, I know it sounds so dumb, but it's an art form, and I so respect it, and it's, like, so inspiring to have you here and then be part of that, be a coach and still play. I mean, come on. Like, the whole package, and plus the love and the heart thing, I'm running out of words. You're just, like, beyond. You're like super cool, Zach.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, take care, and we'll talk to you again.